When clients bring in a pet they've purchased from a breeder, they've often been given a strong recommendation regarding their new pet's diet. So what's the best approach for having a nutrition conversation with these clients? First, I start by acknowledging what the breeder does well, because breeders often have excellent life experience. This gives me an opportunity to recognize their expertise. Then I ask the client more about the breeder's recommendation and if it fits the client's expectations. It's important to determine if the recommended food is complete and balanced and if it's appropriate for this pet. If so, I ask if the client has any questions about how much to feed or about how and when to adjust the amount fed as the pet grows. Making sure each pet owner understands how much to feed and when to adjust the amount is a key area where the veterinary healthcare team can and should provide information, education, and support. If the breeder recommends a raw diet, I take a few moments to make sure the client is aware of potential health risks. If the breeder recommends a homemade diet, it's important to know if the client wants to prepare the diet and is prepared to do so. Even for clients who sound highly committed to feeding raw food or making a homemade diet, the process can be challenging, especially trying to sustain the practice over time. So periodic check-ins every 3 months will help identify issues. The check-in does not necessarily need to be an in-person visit. It could be an email or phone call made by the practice's designated nutrition expert. And the goal is to find out what changes have been made to the diet or feeding regimen since the pet was last seen at the clinic. If no changes were made and the pet is doing well, then the conversation is short and the owner gets support in terms of some kudos for doing a good job. If the diet was changed or altered recently, or the pet has developed some clinical sign, that's an opportunity to collect information and talk to the client about options for having the pet evaluated by the family veterinarian. If the recommended diet is not adequate for the pet, I guide the client by pointing out where there might be some misunderstanding or misperceptions about nutrition. I frame the conversation around how these misperceptions might lead to risks for the pet, what to watch for or monitor, and I include my recommendation for a more appropriate diet. Trying to reframe a nutritional misperception is never a one and done. This can be challenging when even members of our own healthcare team may be promoting a misperception or two. Everyone on the healthcare team should be trained to listen for and address common misperceptions heard by clients or coworkers. Every single time you see a pet is the right time to talk about nutrition. And some of the best opportunities are during the new client and pet visit or each examination that a puppy or kitten has during their first year. Because puppies and kittens are changing every week, it's important to ask if the food or feeding regimen has changed in any way since you last saw the pet. We should not assume that the same food is being fed, even if we saw the pet a few weeks earlier. And if we don't ask the question, some of our clients won't mention a change or may forget to ask their own questions about diet or nutrition. A conversation about a breeder's diet recommendation starts with acknowledging what's appropriate and what works well, then acknowledging where or when there might be risks. And if there are risks, steering clients without judgment toward an appropriate recommendation for their pet.